Hello, and welcome to the Shirley Douglas Show. I have a familiar face with me, and she's going to be talking about that scary word called taxes. The latest on taxes for 2012. So I'd like to introduce Miss none other than Michelle Alexander. And it's so funny because whenever Michelle comes on to talk about taxes, we laugh as much as we do on other subjects because it's so incredible about what we don't know about taxes and how harmful it can be to us. So listen in and learn, but also enjoy because it'll be a joy, I promise you. All right, Miss Michelle Alexander.
Hello. Okay, I think the last time I was here, we talked about a variety of things in terms of taxes, but I think the last topic was in reference to seniors and Social Security benefits. And I mentioned that you have to be careful now because a portion of Social Security benefits are now taxable. And you were quite surprised, as many people who collect Social Security are surprised and were surprised when they arrived at whoever prepared their tax return and they discovered that their benefits were now taxable. Well, there's reason for that.
So what portion of that?
Well,
just remind us about that.
Well, you know, what has happened and what will be happening for the 2011 filing season is that depending on your total income and your filing status, whether you're filing single, married, filing separate, which I say all the time is the worst category you can ever use.
Say that again.
Married filing separate is the worst category.
If you can't get anything to agree on, let it be that one thing that you just got to do together for the interest of the both of you.
Right, absolutely.
Because if you've listened before, the amount of money that you lose by not doing that is just incredible. So.
It is. You lose so much when you use that filing status. It's absolutely amazing. You're better off filing single as opposed to using the married filing separate filing status.
Now did you say that before? See, the girl's always, here she goes again.
Here she goes.
Always bringing up something new.
Well,
see, now I never heard that one before.
And probably because a lot of people think that they're being dishonest, you know, by saying, well, we're married, but the filing status has more to do with balancing your income against liabilities as opposed to anything else. Okay.
But say what you said
but
again.
you can, instead
single,
just single.
Filing single is better than
filing separate.
I've never heard her say that, but guess what? If she said it, you better believe it.
Oh yeah, you can do that. Absolutely.
Wow.
Okay. All right. But getting back to Social Security benefits being a portion of your Social Security benefits are taxable. And it's based on your total income, because there are a lot of people who are collecting Social Security and working. Okay, so depending on your total income and your filing status will determine if your Social Security benefits or a portion of them will be taxable. So how do you get around that? Well, you make sure that your Social Security benefits are being taxed monthly. So if you receive your first allotment check and no taxes have come out of it, go to Social Security, sign a W-4, give them your status, single, married, and those are the only two that you can use on a W-4, and have them remove that portion of federal tax from your Social Security benefits. So even if by the time you get to the filing season, your benefits would not have been taxed. All that money is going to come back to you. But if you make over a certain amount and your filing status is single and you haven't made enough, you haven't had enough money taken out to include that income, that portion of Social Security income that you're receiving, you're gonna be taxed. You're gonna pay tax on at least 50% of what you've received. That could be substantial, you know, in terms of the amount of tax.
I don't like what she just said.
No one likes it, but it's
like
the
it.
truth.
I got to think of what I'm going to do about that because I don't like what she just said.
Well, it's, you know, it's, if you want to, now we're into, I know this show won't air for a couple of weeks or whatever, and this is, you may as well say it's October. So we're looking October, November, December. You have 3 months left, where if you have not had taxes taken out of your Social Security money, then you can do that for the last 3 months of the year, and you're 3 months ahead. So instead of having a tax bill of maybe $400 or $500 in April 2012, maybe you'll have a tax bill of $100 in 2012. Okay.
I hope somebody else comes in and does this interview because I'm tired already. Okay, she has knocked the living wind out of me.
So sorry.
You don't look kind of sorry to me.
I'm so sorry, but
Okay.
that's, you know, your benefits can be taxed. Now, do you want me to continue with how to determine how that can happen, or you want me to go to a different topic?
No, help everybody.
Help everybody. Okay. If you want to, well, first of all, let me just say this. If you receive no other income except Social Security, your benefits are not taxed.
Right.
Okay. So this is for people who have income along with Social Security. Okay.
What about, because I know quite a few of my seniors that I work with were receiving retirement and Social Security.
Yeah.
But they said, well, when I talked to the Social Security people, not that I'm old enough. You know, I'm looking way down in the future. way down in the future.
I didn't get ready to strike in here. Okay.
When I talked to them, they said we're only talking about earned income.
Right, earned income.
And so, in other words, if you had retirement, that wouldn't be an issue. Now, are you coming here saying something different?
Well, you know IRS,
she's frightening us.
I'm sorry, but IRS is the only authority, not Social Security, okay? And IRS looks at when you have retirement income, if it is a normal distribution, normally normal distributions have taxes taken out. I tell all my people who have retirement income to have taxes taken out of their money, definitely.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay, all right. Because IRS looks at everything as income to IRS, everything. So if Social Security is telling people that's only earned income, they shouldn't be saying that, because IRS looks at all of that. It's all income. Okay. It's all income.
Did you all see me roll my eyes at her? I rolled my eyes at her.
Well, look, I didn't write the rules. Don't get mad at me. Don't shoot the messenger. Okay.
Yep. That's too bad. You're the messenger
Don't shoot
today.
the messenger. Okay. But if you are, you can do computations. If you add 1/2 of the Social Security benefits you receive to all your other income, and then compare it to the base amount for your filing status, okay, then you can help to determine what what the taxable amount is. That's very complicated. IRS sends us this information as tax professionals so that we can try to sit down with a person and saying all of it, spilling all of this out. If you're not accustomed to listening to these figures and how to plug them in,
can you help the audience? If I give you this little ink pen, can you help the audience based on $100?
Okay.
you know, and then you take whatever that was, because if you're like me, you're like, what did she just say?
Exactly.
Okay,
So what I normally do is sit down with people. You have to sit down with someone, not necessarily me. If you have someone who prepares your tax return for you, then sit down with that person and have them do the calculation, because it really is based on individual.
But they probably would like to know, just for some
Well,
broad idea.
A broad idea. Okay.
If you base it on $100, you know, if we say $100, and then you take the half of what?
One half of your Social Security benefits, and add one half of your Social Security benefits to all your other income. Okay.
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 So let's pretend like the Social Security is 200. We would take 100 of that.
Take 100 of that.
And add it to any other income that you receive, and then do what?
And then compare it to the base amount for your filing status. That's why I said it can't really. Okay. This is for people who have other income. Remember?
Right.
All right.
Don't ask me if I remember. I remember what you said.
Okay.
You know what? Can I just say this so people understand that when Michelle and I are together, it doesn't matter whether it's business or not, because she's one of my best friends. Okay, I talk to her more than anybody, you know, outside my family, and probably more than most of my family.
I know.
And so, you know, this is just us.
Yes.
But what she's talking about is very serious.
Yes,
but
it's
I just have to bring a flair to it, that's all.
Right, so it's really difficult. I understand the direction you were going in, but then I also have to bring in, when I talk about the base amounts for filing statuses and so forth, so there are a lot of different things and variables that go into determining what portion of your Social Security money is going to be taxed. That's why it's important to sit down and talk to someone and bring them all the information so that they can tell you what you're probably looking at in terms of paying tax on your money, on the money received. So simply, very simply, what you will do if you are someone who is collecting Social Security and working is just to make sure that there's money coming out of tax money, federal tax money, coming out of your Social Security benefits every month. Okay? Just pay something, just go fill out the W-4 and have taxes withheld.
Well, anybody working has to file taxes anyway, but they really need to talk to someone. You know, if you're receiving the Social Security. So that's what you're saying is so vitally important.
Absolutely, absolutely. Just sit down and talk to someone about how to make sure that come April 15th, 2012, you're not looking at owing federal taxes on Social Security money that you've collected over, because it's even though it's Social Security, you've paid it in for X number of years and so forth. IRS looks at it as income.
Because they're greedy.
Right. That's why Social Security should not be saying anything about if it's earned income. It's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
At one point it was earned right. It's income. IRS looks at it as income. Okay? It's income.
So I need to go down there and tell those people a thing or two.
I think you should go
One,
tell them
two,
a thing or
three.
two. I don't think it's going to matter.
Oh my God, but they should tell people that.
Tell who? Social Security shouldn't.
Yeah.
No, you're right. You're right. They shouldn't, because it gives them a false expectation of something. You know what I mean?
Well, they could be receiving it. Now, this is another thing. How can a person look at their paperwork and tell if the taxes are being taken out?
Well, because Social Security,
or should they call her, or look online, or?
No, Social Security does not tax your money unless you tell them to tax your money. They automatically send you statements. Like, I started getting Social Security statements when I was in my early 30s or something, or late 20s, and I was why are they sending me this? I'm way too young to do. Like you said, we're way too young for Social Security.
Right. Yeah, way too young.
However, yeah, because my son called me and he said, "Mom, why are they sending me this? I'm way too young." I'm like, they just do that. So they send you paperwork
because they keep a track of your income.
They keep a track of your income, exactly, and they send you paperwork so that throughout the years you're working, that you can see, well, at age 62 I'll get this, but if I hold off at age 65 I'll get this, and if I still hold off at age 70 I'll get this amount. So they tell you, and so when you start collecting at whichever age you start collecting Social Security, the amount that they told you you were going to get is the total amount. It's the gross and net, okay? There's nothing coming out. So in order for that money to be taxed, you have to tell them to take taxes out of it. So they don't just automatically take taxes out of that money. Okay? This is not something you can do online. You have to go into the Social Security office and tell them you want to complete a W-4, just like they were your employer, so that you can have taxes removed from your money based on the amount and the filing status you want to use. Okay. Yeah. So.
Well, you're going to live a little longer because I want to hear more. I'm not going to shoot the messenger right now.
Thank you.
So just keep going so I can determine if.
Well, I want to stay with what's been happening, and it's been happening to seniors, although it happens to everybody else as well. But these people are targeting seniors, and there have been, over the course of the last 4 or 5 months, a number of scams, tax scams. I can't say IRS because IRS is not scamming, but they're tax scams, and people need to be aware, and they're targeting churches, which is horrible, and seniors. But although you could be the subject of a tax scam. I had a client, as a matter of fact, come to me, and she right now she's on a payment plan. She's got a tax bill and so forth. However, she got a document. It looked so official, very official, telling her that this was her final notice, that she needed to pay this amount, do this and pay this amount of money and so forth, and it was an exorbitant amount of money, and it scared her to death. She was getting ready to send them this amount of money, and it was a scam, okay? Wow. It was a scam. So these scams include things like that. They're telling taxpayers that if they file a return with IRS, that they can get certain tax credits. So those are people who are retired and seniors, who are not filing tax returns. They're being told that they can get certain tax credits, certain refunds, or certain rebates that they're not entitled to, okay? And they're targeting seniors, basically. So I want people to recognize that if it sounds too good to be true, it is. Okay. Definitely. All right, just be careful. IRS does not send email. People call me and say, I got an email from IRS. No, IRS does not send out email, okay? And if you are being audited, you'll know, because you'll get a certified letter along with a regular one in the mail from the Department of the Treasury, IRS, letting you know that your whatever year tax return is under examination. Okay, it'll be that. They also don't make phone calls. All right. Now, once they have opened a case and so forth, if you hire a tax professional or CPA or whoever you're working with, then that person, you'll allow that person to communicate with the IRS revenue agent who is conducting the examination, and that person and you, the client, will communicate with a particular revenue agent about what's going on with your examination. But Well, if they say, somebody calls you on the phone and says, this is Jane Smith and I'm with IRS, don't believe them, okay? Because IRS does not make phone calls, okay? Other types of scams have to do with Social Security, okay? People are making fictitious claims for rebates based on excess or withheld Social Security benefits. So again, it's the seniors, it's the people who are...
and how are they communicating to them?
Same, either by mail, making something look really official, you know, it's like a notice and so forth. So if you get something like that, pick up the phone and don't call the number on there because, you know, you're calling the scammers. Call Internal Revenue, all right? Or go take the form down to Internal Revenue. They're in Pittsburgh, they're located in the Federal Building on the first floor. So when you go into the Federal Building, you have to show photo ID, and please don't even take a nail file with you because you can't go in there with any nail files or weapons or anything like that because they'll take them off of you and you won't get them back. But when you go through security, you show them your photo ID, and when you go through the security, make a right, and IRS is the first door on the right. It's right there on the first floor, right next to security. So take your notice, if you get something, take it into them and show it to them, and they will tell you, no, this is not us.
Wow.
This is not us, okay? But you'd be surprised how many people, like the 99.99999% of people, senior or otherwise, when they get something that says IRS, they automatically believe that it's legitimate.
Yeah.
IRS makes mistakes like all of us because we're all imperfect, okay? So their office doesn't run any more efficiently than anybody else's, okay? Everybody makes mistakes. And sometimes, legitimately, they'll send you something and it's incorrect, but you'll automatically assume that it's from IRS, so it has to be right. Not true. Not true at all. You always check it out, okay? That's the first thing I do is check it out. You know, if I'm working with someone to help clear up or get a resolution to a tax
And when
problem.
you say checking up, you want to
check it out.
Check the authenticity of it.
That's number one. And then number two, to make sure that it's not a mistake, okay? Because it could be. I mean, I've had a lot of tax issues presented to me that were their mistake. Not the taxpayer's mistake.
Okay. So under any circumstances,
so
you should go to IRS.
Exactly.
And find out what is this all about.
Find out what's going on. Exactly.
Okay.
Under any circumstances. Otherwise, you have no idea.
So if I owe them money, I'm going to go to, are you sure? Yes,
Trust
Shirley
me,
Douglas. Oh, sure.
Okay. All right. Okay. The other, okay. The other scam, there is another scam that people are using. They're saying that Form 1080 can be used to transfer funds from Social Security, again, okay, to IRS, enabling a payout from IRS. No. First of all, there is no Form 1080, okay? It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. So, okay, so please be careful.
So I hope when this airs, boy, there's somebody with a 1080 in their house. And just in the nick of time, they hear this and then say, oh.
But they prey on people. They prey on poor people and the elderly because they're circulating flyers and brochures about credits and refunds. They're telling you they're going to get you some free money and you don't have to give them any documentation of things like that. They're saying, you know, you can get that economic recovery rebate, the rebate.
Yeah.
Well, the rebate has expired, okay?
Long time ago.
There is no more rebate. Okay, right, okay. So they're saying things like that. They're telling people who are self-employed that they can qualify for earned income credit just because they're self-employed. I'm self-employed. I've never gotten it. Okay, I can't get the earned income credit. Oh. Self-employed people don't get that. Oh. Okay, and and I have a contractor who.
What if you had a family, children?
Well, it's earned if you are in business for yourself. Okay, you can get. Depending on how much money you're making, and if you've got children, yeah, but most people in business don't meet that requirement. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Most of them don't. Okay.
Why not?
Because I guess they don't have any. Why you go ask them why they don't have any children? I don't know why they don't have any children. I don't know.
You said most people in business don't have children?
Well, no. Well, if they inflate, a lot of people are told, inflate your income so you can qualify for earned income credit. You can't, okay? And if you people try to inflate their income for different reasons. Mm-hmm. They maybe want to qualify for a line of credit, and so forth. But you still have to prove your income. You can't just put numbers down. Mm-hmm. People are being told, just put something down. Okay, mm-hmm. And I'm saying don't do that because it's not going to work.
Right.
Okay, all right.
Well, that would be. No, mm-hmm. I was curious about the earned income credit. You mm-hmm. said you are self-employed, but you don't get it. But there was a time when you were self-employed, taking care of your children.
Well, taking care of my children, yeah, and depending on how much, where your adjusted income falls too. Uh-huh. Okay, so. If I'm self-employed and I have a lucrative business and I have children, and I'm making and my adjusted gross income is $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, I don't qualify for earned income credit. Okay.
Okay. But that's just typical, period.
Well,
whether you're self-employed or not, right?
Right. You'll get the child tax credit.
Right.
But people are being told if you do this, you can qualify for the earned income credit. Uh-huh. They want that because it's more than a child tax credit. Okay. So no, that doesn't work either. Uh-huh. Okay.
So how does that relate to the scam?
It's if I'm preparing your tax return and I'm saying to you, well, we're going to do this so you can, and even if I'm not, if I'm a scammer, I guess I've got it all figured out as to why I'm going to. Encourage you to do something to make you believe it's going to happen when in fact it's not. Oh. Okay? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, but that's scary because usually the person that's fixing your taxes, you trust them.
Well, that gets me into the next topic.
Oh, here she goes
Here
again.
Comes the good stuff.
She always scares me. I don't know why I keep inviting her back because all she